The thing we're disappointed in is there's going to be a couple guys that won't be on the train, and that's what hurts for those guys. Talking to Marcus, I was probably more down about than he was. He picked me up yesterday on the phone. So those guys will go to work, they'll get back, they'll get right, they'll be stronger than ever next year. Same thing with J.K., the exact same feelings with J.K. But the team itself, we feel for those guys, and our hearts go out for those guys, and we're back in the fight, and that's what we're doing today.
All right, so for the latest, his tweets have feet, because when he lobs one of those nugs out, they travel. And unfortunately, Ian Rappaport, it is bad times in Baltimore right now.
Yeah, nothing really good there out of practice yesterday. Such a freak, weird thing. Back-to-back plays, 2 non-contact injuries, 2 torn ACLs. This is what the MRIs confirmed late yesterday, and then, of course, officially today. Both of these guys, Gus Edwards and Marcus Peters, placed on injured reserve, out for the season. As far as the reinforcement, they did come, actually one yesterday and then one officially this morning. Devontae Freeman, the former Atlanta Falcons star running back at the back end of his career, but he is on the practice squad now for the Ravens. And then Latavius Murray, who was released after declining a pay cut by the New Orleans Saints a couple days ago. He is officially signed to the 53-man roster. He got the vet minimum on a 1-year deal, but has a chance to make up to $2 million, including incentives. So figure Murray slots right in to where Gus Edwards was. This is a resilient team. It's also an unbelievably deep roster. So the thinking is the Ravens will be okay. This was a difficult day yesterday.
Yeah, sometimes it's one thing to hear it and to hear us talk about it, but it's another thing to see it. And as you get a look at what Baltimore is dealing with just through training camp and the preseason before we even start week 1. And this is a team that wants to run the ball. And you see Dobbins, Edwards, Hill, all out for the season. Rashad Bateman is dealing with a groin that's going to keep him out for at least the first 6 weeks. And then you have linebacker L.J. Fort and cornerback Marcus Peters on the other side of the ball with ACL tears. All 5 of those players out for the season.
Can we be honest? And this can kind of merge organically.
Bring it to me.
The reason why they released me is because indirectly, I was going to be a distraction.
Without being the starter.
Without being a starter.
Yeah.
And this was
but
not
how?
Going to come.
Verbally or in the locker room?
Just my aura.
Okay.
Just my aura. And that's just, and I told you this off camera. That's my gift and my curse.
Yeah.
When you bring a Cam Newton to your facility, when you bring a Cam Newton to your franchise, people are interested. So let me be honest with you.
Come to me.
Saying this.
Yeah.
If they would have asked me, would I play behind, they said, Cam, we're going to give the team to Mac.
Okay.
You're going to be the second string. We expect you to be everything and some to guide him throughout this tenure.
Okay.
I would have said absolutely, yeah.
Cam.
But listen.
Cam.
Listen. The truth of the matter is this. He would have been uncomfortable.
With you looking over his shoulder?
Yeah.
You felt like that?
Yeah.
Ian, I wish you had a hat. I wish you had a different look going. But, I mean, look, he's not lying. I mean, everything he says, I think, is what most of us suspect, right?
It's 100% right. And, I was getting all these texts this morning from people wondering, what does this mean for Cam's career after these kind of comments, what team would sign him. He's telling the truth. What do you want him to do? I mean, everything Cam said is right. I mean, one of the reasons he got released, maybe the main reason he got released by the Patriots, is when it's time to hand the team over to a young quarterback, it is his. Essentially give him the team. You can't do that if Cam Newton is looming, looking over his shoulder. And because of the way Cam is, because players still look at him like the rock star MVP that he was, he does have an aura in the locker room. He is still a locker room leader. It would take away from Mac Jones being the starting quarterback. And that's not an insult to Cam. It's actually a compliment. And he's right. I mean, yes, he would have been the backup. I believe that 100%. But once you decide that the team is going in a different direction, once you decide that football-wise, it needs to be Mac Jones' job. And I believe Bill Belichick and the Patriots coaches and evaluators that was what the decision was based on. It was based on Mac Jones being the better quarterback. Then moving on from Cam Newton makes sense, as explained very well by Cam Newton himself.
Yeah, and it really, limits the options of, just based on those factors, where he could sign if he's not going to be a starter. And like places where there's Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, doesn't make sense to have Cam sign there as a backup. So certainly something you and all of us will be keeping an eye on. We got Browns and Chiefs. What are we looking at?
I think the key to this game, look, the Browns were so close. In fact, they fumbled it out of the back of the end zone, or they might have had a victory in the playoffs last year against the Chiefs. That was without Odell Beckham Jr. When they had Odell Beckham Jr. at the beginning of that season, weeks 1 through 7, it wasn't particularly good. They were not nearly as efficient of an offense, just a 75 PFF grade for OBJ, just a 70 passer rating between Baker and OBJ during that time period compared to 95 to other receivers. But there's some confounding variables. They were just getting to learn the offense. They played a rather tough schedule in that early slate. So can they get on the same page for the first time? If they can, then they have a legit shot to beat the Chiefs. And dare I say, they have the best shot of anyone in the AFC to do so.
Oh, wow. Browns the best shot to dethrone the AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs. All right, let's stick, even though I know that game's in Kansas City, but we stick with teams in the Rust Belt. How about Pittsburgh-Buffalo and what you're looking at in that one?
It has to be a rejuvenation for Ben Roethlisberger. It cannot look like it looked last year. Short dink and dunk passes that got absolutely nowhere. In fact, a lot of them got dropped by receivers. The play action pass was utilized by the Pittsburgh Steelers less than any other team in the NFL by almost 10%. That's insane. Matt Canada is going to bring a play action passing game. We saw it already in the preseason. Now, can Big Ben execute there? That has not been a place that he has been good, just a 44 passing grade on play action passes, but they did it so sparingly. It's something that helps all quarterbacks across the league. I'd look for it to help this Pittsburgh passing game. And if so, then maybe a little dark horse MVP candidate for my guy, Big Ben.
Look at that. And we know if we don't acknowledge and address the Sunday Nighter, Collinsworth's going to cut you off from coffee there in the office. So what are we looking at with Bears-Rams?
It's already getting dangerously low, and we're only one night in. The Sunday night game, I would love to say this is all about Justin Fields, but there is no Justin Fields likely to be played in this game. So I look at the other quarterback position and what Matt Stafford can bring above what Jared Goff brought to the LA Rams. People, I think, tend to forget the Rams were very good with Jared Goff. Where did they miss? They missed on those second read, those third read throws that were awesome. We call them big time throws here at PFF, down the field with accuracy. After his first read, Jared Goff made a big time throw on just 1% of throws. Compare that to Matt Stafford, who did that nearly 8% of the time. Those are a lot of big plays that were not there for the Browns that could be there, for the Rams, that could be there with Matthew Stafford. If he brings that element, they could take another step. I say could, because it still remains to be seen.
All right. Well, no doubt the Giants' ground attack would get a serious bump with the return of Saquon Barkley. A season-ending injury stopped his 2020 campaign before it even got started. So, is he ready to resume his promising career Sunday?
I wouldn't go out there if I didn't feel confident that I could protect myself and be helpful for the team. So that's going to come within the conversations that obviously Coach Judge and Doc and Lee and Barnes have, and that'll kind of be the indicator with how I feel and how this week went, whether I play this week or not.
All right, that takes us to East Rutherford and our Kim Jones for the situation on Saquon and so much more. Hi, Kim. What more can you tell us about Saquon?
Yeah, I followed up, Matt, by asking him, well, Saquon, as you stand here in front of us today, can you indeed protect yourself? Because he said that was going to be the determining factor, and he said yes. So I do believe, and I have to believe Joe Judge is being honest with us when he says that barring something unforeseen, including the medical staff not clearing Saquon is going to be out there on Sunday. And it's a remarkable comeback from a serious knee injury. And I wondered with Saquon when this day, a day where his head coach could essentially say, yeah, he's playing, when that day became realistic to him. And Saquon went back to when he came off the PUP list at the beginning of training camp. We were here. We had a crew here that day, and we talked about it that day. It was the most meaningful day in his rehab, as it turns out. Saquon saying that running on the side is good, but I'm not a track star. And once he was off that PUP list and doing football activities with his teammates, he said, I found myself not really thinking about my knee, to which I said to Saquon, Saquon, the body follows the mind, and he said yes. And that is highly relatable to anyone who's ever gone through any kind of rehab. The body does indeed follow the mind.
Yeah, and his is not the only body that we are concerned about with the Giants. Look, everybody, every team through the course of a football season deals with injury, and the Giants are no different. So what about beyond Saquon, kind of what we're talking about before that game against the Broncos?
Well, the rookie Kadarius Toney, who did very little during training camp, told the media this week he is playing on Sunday, so we'll take Toney's word for it there. Kenny Golladay, Matt, also talked to reporters today, and he indicated that he thinks he's ready to go, that he's run posts and he's run go routes, but within reason, and it doesn't sound like he has gone to 100% capacity on those, and indicated that if they tell him he can't play, he'll cheer for his teammates, but it certainly sounds like Kenny Golladay also has a chance to play. And I should mention the name Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones on Sunday is going to be working with and throwing the ball to a bunch of guys he really hasn't thrown the ball to a lot this training camp. So it'll be very interesting to see this Giants offense against Denver right over there at MetLife Stadium on Sunday.
And talking about someone who had a heck of a career when the start was in New York, gets traded to the Browns. We're kind of waiting for that emergence. Where are we at with Odell and kind of where he's at in his return with the Browns?
Well, Kevin Stefanski was a little cagey today, let's say, talking about Odell Beckham, saying that he's going to kind of keep it under wraps. So let you know right before the game he's going to be listed as questionable. I just haven't had anyone tell me throughout this entire process that he's not going to play. Not saying definitively that he is. I'm just saying it looks pretty good. And the fact that he has been full speed, the fact that he has done every single thing that the Cleveland Browns have asked of him, the fact that by training camp, when I know some wondered whether or not he would be ready, he didn't even enter camp on the PUP list. He was ready to go. It looks pretty good for Odell Beckham. And, you know, the last time we saw this really productive Browns offense, he wasn't a part of it. Can they be productive with him now being a part of it again? I feel like we'll probably find out this weekend.
Yeah, it is such an odd thing that we say it, right, because of how good he is. So when you see him out there, the plays he can make, but it is a legitimate question as to whether or not Baker focuses on him too much when he is out there. Certainly, like you said, looks like we're going to have a shot of it against the Chiefs on Sunday. Thank you, Ian. So, interrupted. It's a two-part Ian Rappaport information bit here. And we start with Curtis Samuel. I'm going to be in D.C. Am I going to be calling Curtis Samuel out there on the field or no?
Nope. No. The tweak of his groin that we saw earlier in the week, he was not really doing very much of anything, just kind of warming up, tweaked his groin again. And more, I would say a little bit as a precaution, more just trying to get it right. It is a long season, and we've seen really across the league is teams making decisions for the long run this week. So Curtis Samuel goes on injured reserve. Most other years, it would have been a huge deal him going on IR. Now it just means he's out 3 games. The Washington football team does believe he will be back by week 4, fully healed and ready to go. This is one of their big ticket offseason acquisitions, so they have very high hopes for him. It's just not going to be in the first 3 games. They're going to be without one of their free agent weapons to start the season.
Yeah, and certainly excited about the potential of him and Terry McLaurin. Lauren playing together, not going to have it in week 1. All right, let's get back to Indianapolis. Tom Pelissero has got the latest injury updates on 2 key Colts players. What do we got?
Well, Matt, Colts cornerback Xavier Rhodes is out for Sunday's opener against the Seahawks. Did not practice the entire week because of a calf injury, and that is a significant loss when you're going up against the Seattle team that, of course, has Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf and company threatening you with speed out there on the perimeter. So a big test in this opener for Rock Ya-Sin, TJ Carey, and the rest of the Colts corners without the veteran Rhodes available. Some other important players from the Colts on the injury report. Left tackle Eric Fisher is out. That's not a surprise. He's not even 8 months removed from his Achilles injury back in the AFC Championship game, although Frank Reich said not ruling out Fisher yet for week 2. Julian Davenport starts in his place. And also star guard Quentin Nelson listed as questionable. He tweaked his back a little bit early on in the week. It does sound like the Colts are optimistic, but that final call on Nelson's availability might go all the way down until Sunday, Matt.
And Tom, do you feel like we have word on what we're going to see with Carson Wentz? Is he going to be out there?
Carson Wentz is good to go and make his Colts debut as the starting quarterback on Sunday against the Seahawks. Really, it had been trending this direction. He did not have a major injury. It was a bone fragment that needed to be removed over a month ago from his foot, and as long as they got through those first 2 weeks, no setbacks, no infections, the Colts were always optimistic that he was going to be on this trajectory. Now, how much do they expose Wentz, even though his mobility appears to be back at this point? That part remains to be seen, because remember, not only did he miss time because of the foot, but he recently missed several days of practice after landing on the reserve COVID-19 list as a high-risk close contact. Bottom line for the Colts, especially with one of their backup quarterbacks, Sam Ehlinger, not available after his injury, Carson Wentz will be their starting quarterback, the 5th different starting quarterback that the Colts have had in Week 1 in the past 5 years. Matt?
Jeez, not a good statistic there. 5 in 5 years. We appreciate it, Tom.